You always do this to me. Why is this not working? Can't see myself. Close the camera. Okay, that's what happened. Alright, well, hopefully people can hear me. Let me double check the mic, make sure it's not muted. I always have these tech issues as soon as I try to start something. Alright. Looks like I am not muted. Alright, so good evening. As you well know, I love to talk about Sundial, so that's what we're going to be doing right now. So, what happened today? Hey, my price prediction was that this news was going to bring us to, at least 70 cents. Like, come on. It's good news, right? How Canada got acquired. The vote passed, not acquired yet, but the vote passed. If you watched my video this morning, I was still saying the same thing, but I did, raise a few points of concern for me. Those being, was there, some kind of legal issue that went wrong because of the last minute changes to the acquisition deal for Alcanna? Was there, is there's still, just not enough buzz because of maybe the retail investors not being awake, or maybe they're just burnt out from last year's rise and drop. So many reasons, right? The FUD about the upcoming possible delisting, a whole bunch of things. So let's talk about it a little. And as usual, the media and everybody they hate Sundial, or I have no idea. But when there's great news like Friday, you saw no articles. You did a search on Google, hit news. Why is nothing popping up? Why is there no news about this? Why is there no interest? What the hell is going on? So, what's going on? Let's look at some of the stuff today, or look at today when the Sundial dropped down to about 58 cents at the close of the market today, and the aftermarket trading it kind of bumped up a little bit, went up to about 59 cents. But still, we need to figure out, what's going on. But look at that. The news started popping up miraculously today. Like, why is Sundial not doing too well? Everybody's happy to go jump and crap all over Sundial. So as soon as the price dropped, they were like, oh, plenty of news articles. Price rises, nobody cares, right? So one of the first articles I saw was from Investor Place. I put some music on in the background. I hope y'all don't mind. It's the royalty-free playlist or artist on Tidal. Make sure I give them credit. Yes, this is it right here. As you can see, I just have it on some random playing. It's been kind of a varied mix of music. Thank God I'm eclectic, and that's fine with me. But let's look at it. So, what is Investor Place saying? Of course, they're saying the stock remains unattractive, right? sadly. So why is it unattractive? Well, in general, I think we can talk about like the NASDAQ and everything just kind of went down today, likely off of just fear over the economy and what's going on with inflation and things like that. I think Europe reported their numbers and it wasn't as bad as people thought it was going to be. The U.S. is soon going to be reporting their numbers, so we'll see what happens. But that could be, some of the reason why the price dropped instead of went up off of what was an awesome week last week. Of course, I raised other issues like, this deal is not exactly finalized until the court approves it, even though we don't really have anything telling us why it would go wrong, except for what I was saying earlier in my last video was, if there was these last minute changes and shareholders weren't notified properly and things like that, maybe somebody can, fuss a little bit. But it's hard when, you got such a good deal. But it may also be a strategic thing because the deal's not finalized yet, right? So I believe it's on the 18th where they'll go to the court and they'll get approval from the court per Canada's rules. Again, not legal advice, not financial advice. Do your research, do your due diligence, trust no one. Just look, I predicted it was going to jump to 70 cents. Didn't jump at all. So now I'm just trying to figure out why this went wrong or why I went wrong on my prediction. And I'm thinking it may be something from, just the general news outlook on Sundial, which we all know has been very negative. And this is probably the greatest example where there was no news on Friday, and then all the news today is there was a bunch of articles today when the price is going down. But this may also be a strategy on the part of Sundial, Alcana, and everybody else involved, saying, well, hey, if our stock price jumped 70, 80 cents, or anywhere in between, maybe there would be some resistance on this deal and some attempt to reverse it, or motivation to do that. Again, I'm just purely speculating here, but I think that could be the possibility. It's like, wait, hold on a second, we don't want our price to jump too quick because then people might feel like they got screwed over. That could be a potential thing, and that could be why we're not hearing news about Sundial flexing its buyback program. Who knows? Investor Place is saying, it's the Federal Reserve. They're claiming that there's more aggressive moves about tapering and things like that. There's also been bad job news. They're saying there's more people unemployed than expected, and maybe some of these people are going to have trouble getting jobs in the future, things like that. They're also talking about like Sundial was this meme, and this is something I was kind of contemplating this morning, was Sundial was this meme stock that became extremely popular, and I'm betting a lot of retail investors got burned buying at that $3-4 mark, or somewhere high up there. That could be it. Part of that is if you look at the history of the stock, it was at a very high price, and then it just has this like tanking look. If you look at the history of the stock price, we're talking about as high as $11.50 in August of 2019, and then there's just been this drop until 2021 where there was, this sudden rise, and then, drop back down again. So why did it drop from over $10? It was just massively diluted. But that whole meme stock thing was extremely helpful because it potentially helped Sundial get out of the massive debt that it was in. So, here or there, if you're a little bit more educated, you would see, massive dilution, blah, blah, blah. That makes sense. But who knows? Maybe not everybody's paying that much attention. Again, they're also raising. I don't know why they raised. They're saying that there was a surprise profit in Q3 for 2021 for Sundial. Not sure why they raised that as an issue of why the price would drop or why it's still unattractive. So I don't know. But there's the whole FUD over the risk of delisting, which, I mean, it's looking like a strong possibility that might happen, which is kind of scary, especially when we're staying at this stagnant mark, but it's not flowing down like it was this whole time. We're kind of bouncing and meeting some resistant levels and staying in this 57 to 63 area, which not bad. But what are you thinking about? What are they thinking about? What's the world thinking about? More news. Next, I am looking at the PR Newswire, Investors Observer. They didn't really have much. It's nothing particular. To take it to the Sundial stock, they just want to sell you something, so it didn't work out. Next, I have the deep dive, which was published earlier today. They are bigging up the announcement of the plan of arrangement for the acquisition of Alcanna, explaining that deal. But they really, this is the 10th. They're kind of reporting old news here. They're saying Sundial last traded at 60 cents when they were writing this, and they really didn't do much other than report that there was the final approvals granted, which isn't exactly true. It's not a final approval. The court gives the final approval. So we got the vote. So they're way behind on their news, interestingly enough. What are you doing, Deep Dive? Who knows? Next, I'm looking at DBT news. And a lot of these are not mainstream news, so who knows what's going on. They're saying that Sundial is currently 2.37 above its 200 period moving average. What the hell does that mean? And there you have some kind of explanation saying what? Nothing very special. They're saying look at the RSI. They're saying that the total return on capital was a negative 2985 or 0.85. Which, I mean, who expects that you're going to get a return on capital that quickly? I mean, they're of course spending money, but I don't know. They're also saying Sundial has a total debt to equity ratio set at 0.54, which is interesting. I'm not too sure where they're getting these numbers from, but maybe that is true. They're saying that Sundial managed to generate an average of $389,000 per employee. I don't know, that sounds pretty good to me. Receivables turnover was 2.69 with a total asset turnover recorded at a value of 0.15. I don't know. I'm not a mathematician. I'm a lawyer. No idea what the hell they're talking about there. They're talking about some insider ownership positions, saying there's about 51 million or 4.6% of Sundial stock in the hands of institutional investors. One of the biggest ones is Susquehanna International Group LLP with about 22 million shares, which is about 2.9%. Two Sigma Investments LP holding about 15 million shares with a value of about 9.16 million. And Murray Asset Global Investments Company Ltd. With about 9.14 million in Sundial stock, with about 18% of the company's market capitalization. Kind of pointless to look at that, I guess. Now, the next article I'm looking at looks like it's called Stocks Equity. Every News Matters. And again, I'm just pulling this off of Google searches, so I have no idea how credible any of these people are. Looking at this, they're talking about this bump up here. I don't know. They're talking about some kind of ratios. So they're saying Sundial's price to sales ratio for the trailing 12 months was 31.68, and the price to book ratio for most recent quarter was 1.10, whereas price to cash per share for the most recent quarter was 1.98. The company's price to free cash flow for trailing 12 months was recorded as 0. Again, no idea what the hell that means. I have not a stock expert. This is part of the reason why you shouldn't be taking stock advice from me. Yeah. So take that at its value, do some research, figure it out. I'll probably do that on my own myself. Next, I'm looking at stocknews.com. Let's see. They're saying, there's a high volatility in the cannabis market caused by negative margins and a speedy increase in competition. They're saying the global cannabis market, is estimated to demonstrate a CAGR rate of about 32% over the next 6 years, hitting 197.74 billion in 2028. I mean, they're predicting a steady rise. I don't see. And they're here in this article. They're pairing Sundial growers with Aurora Cannabis to determine what's a better stock buy. So they're saying in that comparison that Sundial's third quarter earning results, they had a net revenue increase of almost 12%, which is 14.37 million in Canadian dollars, which missed the Wall Street estimates by about 2.4 million in Canadian dollars. Wow. Wall Street is allegedly expecting Sundial's earnings to grow 85% in the fourth quarter to about a 1 cent per share. They're also forecasting that Q4 revenue should advance again 80% to 19.96 million. Whereas Aurora Cannabis, they're talking about their Canadian 375 million in total cash position. I mean, I just don't get why they're not comparing apples to apples here. It just seems like they're talking about their first quarter while they were just talking about Sundial's third and fourth quarter. So, I mean, I don't get the logic in that, but okay. They're saying, there's 47 million about an average revenue estimates for that, which is almost a 12% or 11% year-over-year decrease. Okay, so you compared their first quarter to Sundial's last two quarters, and ACB has a decrease and Sundial's up. I mean, I guess this is potentially a positive article for Sundial. But yeah. This guy's Olis Sander Pilenko, who has 5 years experience as an investment analyst and financial journalist. Yeah. I don't know, but I can't criticize because I'm definitely not doing any better over here. Going back. Let's see. The next thing is ownsnap.com. Never really heard of them. They came out with an article today by Erica Thompson. And they're talking about Sundial, of course. They're saying that the biggest success in the half year came with the purchase of Alcanna, which operated a liquor and marijuana stores. As a result, Sundial price climbed to 92. However, the current worth is 59 cents a share with a market capitalization of 1.227 billion. I don't know. And then they're talking about last week's stock prices. Not anything new, really. Just clickbait, I guess. They know people are looking for news on Sundial, so they're just writing these short, no information really articles. Interesting. Here we have another article from fostersleader.com that was published today. They're saying major brokerage firms issue research notes on Sundial growers. So that's something pretty interesting to report on, I guess. And, what are they saying? They're saying Sundial has a trailing price to earnings ratio of 23.65 for the broader industry and 28.7 for the sector. Again, no idea what the hell they're talking about there. They're saying the company's long-term debt to equity for the quarter ending in September of last year was 0.01, while the total debt equity was 0.02. That seems to contradict what one of our earlier articles said. But again, I have no idea. Maybe they're just talking about some other kind of numbers that I just don't understand. They're saying that analysts expected Sundial to announce $0 per share earnings in the latest quarter, but it posted 0 EBITDA for the quarter. And that the total liabilities totaled $66.42 million, with a total debt at $24.53 million. They're talking about a technical picture, saying that the 9-day relative strength index as of last week, Friday, was 46.28%, to suggest that the stock is trending neutral. Interesting. I mean, you can kind of look at that by the stock price, and I probably agree with that. Even though, again, no idea what the hell we're talking about. All right, now we'll get into talk about some of the Nova. So Nova Cannabis Inc. Is majority owned by Alcanna, which is the company that just voted for the proposal to be acquired by Sundial. And Nova Cannabis is a pretty interesting company. They their stores are kind of like what can I compare them to? Something like more bargain basement type stuff, where they're promising high quality at the best value. So the branding of their store is Value Buds, which is pretty interesting. I think I like that. Their price chart. Let's look at that. So it hasn't been way too volatile. So if you're looking at, back to the very beginning, they started trading at about $1 per share, maybe a little bit over that. There was a point in, let's say, July of 2018 where they had a nice sharp rise, leading to a peak of about $42.84 a share in September of 2018. And then they dropped down again, down to, between the 7 to 5 mark. And then they steadily decreased to about $2. And then in the last year, there's been some heavy trading volume, it looks like, which is very interesting. Peaking at, what is this, 1.3 million. It's pretty interesting, but the price hasn't really changed much. It's kind of jumped up to about $4, and then it's come back down. It looks like we're trading at just under $3 right now. It's interesting. They had their third quarter earnings results that were posted. They're saying that and this is why they're being called one of the fastest growing cannabis retailers in Canada, because they reported sales of about 38.7 million, which was an increase of 141.9% from the third quarter of 2020, and a 30% increase from the second quarter of 2021. Their gross profit was about 6.5 million, or 16.9% of sales, 21.8% increase from the third quarter of 2020, and a 26% increase from the second quarter of 2021. This is definitely positive growth here. It's also announcing that they generated positive operating profit and cash flow across the portfolio of operating stores before pre-opening and other non-operating lease expenses and head office expenses. They opened up 11 new Value Bud stores, 6 in Ontario, 5 in Alberta, approximately 1 per week since the release of the Q2 2021 financial results. That's definitely some big growth there. Nova now has 71 stores operating a pipeline of organic opportunities. This is reported as of November 10th of 2021, by the way. So I think they have a little bit more stores. I think it's at 74 right now. So that's pretty interesting. This is, I think positive that Sundial now owns this. I know that the Nova CEO came out and talking positive about Sundial's acquisition there. So good news, good news. Next, I wanted to talk about Sunstream, which I haven't heard about really for a little while. If you don't know, this was reported in like the first week of December. Here I'm looking at an article from the Motley Fool, and they're talking about why the Sundial stock price jumped around that time, first week of December. And they're basically talking about Sunstream, or an IPO of Sunstream IVXX Investment Corp. And it's a joint venture, strategic partnership, forming what's called Sunstream Bank Corp. And what is that exactly? So they're saying that they were investing money into this joint venture that would allow it to focus on its cannabis operations while also participating in new investments in the sector. They're talking about at that time, this is in early December, a total commitment of about $400 million in US dollars. And this is primarily focused on investment into the U.S. So at that time, there was no announcement for the IPO price range. But this they're attributing to the jump in stock price around that time. But why aren't we hearing more news about this? I'm not exactly sure. So there's a few articles on newcannabisventures.com, and I'm trying to look at one of the more recent ones, but so they've been talking about this Sunstream Bancorp Inc. For a while, since about early 2021, back when that price was jumping super volatile. Very interesting. And the latest of these articles is talking about Jushi and pulling $100 million acquisition facility from Sunstream. Jushi is apparently a vertically integrated multi-state cannabis operator. So they basically obtain credit from Sunstream Bancorp, sponsored by SNDL, in an attempt to grow their business. So let's hope Jushi's doing well. Let's look them up. What's Jushi going on? What do they got going on? Jushi Holdings Inc. Let's see what news they got. So I'm looking at, let's see if there's something maybe a little bit more. We'll just go with that. So the Investors Observer is reporting as of today, about 3 in the afternoon, that Jushi stock is higher by 2.45% Monday, an increase of about 9 cents, outperforming the market. And Jushi is getting a bullish score from Investors Observer. So that's interesting. So they're saying Jushi stock is trading at $3.77 as of 3:20 p.m. or today, which was an increase of 9 cents again from the previous close of $3.68, and that the stock has been trading between $3.40 and $3.79. So yeah, it looks like Jushi's doing well. So if they borrowed money, it looks like they might be able to pay it. Good news, not bad news. Trying to see if there's anything else that pops out. Looks like Jushi has been named by NASDAQ.com as one of the 5 best marijuana stocks to buy in 2022. Seems like positive news. Yahoo Finance was reporting that about a month ago that Jushi Holdings further expands its Nevada footprint through an agreement to acquire another state operator. So I'm not really seeing anything too negative. Everybody's talking about positive with Jushi, so that could be positive for this bank corp. They just lent the money, so hey. So I wanted to bring in a little bit more. So the primary reason of this joint venture from Sunstream is basically to invest and buy the debt of American cannabis retailers or companies. So that's basically their way of getting into that market, which is good because what can we do with the debt? We can potentially use that as leverage to do other things that would help us or help Sundial break into the U.S. market, which would be great as soon as the federal government moves on legalization here. So could be some interesting stuff. What do we got going on? So this is another article from the first week of December of last year from markets.businessinsider.com, and they're talking about this Sunstream Bancorp situation, joint venture. Again, confirming that it's primarily trying to invest in the debt of U.S. cannabis companies. It'll be acting as a specialty finance company, and they're anticipating commencing the IPO during the first quarter of 2022. So that should be coming up pretty soon here. So hopefully we'll get some more news on this and see how that affects Sundial. Next, I found something from the SEC. And this is, what is this talking about? This is talking about the Green Rose Acquisition Corp. I'm not seeing much. I don't know what they're talking about here, or how it came into this whole Sundial picture. Okay, so they're saying Sunstream Bancorp Inc. notified Green Rose Acquisition Corp. That the commitment letter they issued, filed with the SEC on August 5th, have not been satisfied, and further notified the company that Sunstream was not prepared to proceed with the proposed financing until such time that they are satisfied. Interesting. So that kind of tells me, obviously, they're doing their due diligence here before they invest into some of this debt. So that's interesting. Who knows what that means? But yeah, I don't know. So, what's the predictions for the future here? Are we going to get to a point where we'll naturally avoid delisting? My vote is yes. I'm seeing this as an opportunity to buy at the rates because I want it below 60 cents, preferably in the lower 50s, just so that I can buy more and buy more and buy more and buy more. well, my money's coming in. Not that I'm recommending it. Again, not financial advice. This is just my plan on what I am doing. But we all know if we're following the markets that today was just generally a bad day. Like even in the crypto markets, things went horribly. Like things are at lows that we haven't seen in a few months. So not really that big of a surprise. But it looks like Sundial jumped up to about 60 cents in the aftermarket, which is, a good sign. It was likely oversold. So I don't know. It may be in for this steady bump, this steady rise. Especially if I'm going to be putting the money that I'm thinking about into it over the next week. But let's see, because I don't know. I don't know if I want to buy above 60 cents. I'm probably going to put in an order at about 58 or 57.9, something like that, in the hopes I can take advantage of the drop in price over the day, if that happens again this week. But yeah, so still a lot of FUD out there. Still, a lot of people doubting what Sundial can do, what Sundial's potential is, its valuation, all of that. So what do we have to look forward in the future? We have January 18th coming up, where we'll hopefully get the acquisition of Alcana confirmed. We have quarterly earnings, the Q4 report coming up. That could potentially have an impact on the stock price for both Alcana as well as Nova Cannabis and Sundial itself. So those numbers could be interesting. We also have the IPO of Sunstream Bancorp coming up in this first quarter. So that could be very influential on the stock price. These are things that could be the catalyst to bring us to $1 if we could get some positive news going over the next couple of weeks. So that's my stream for right now, I guess. You could tell that today's price dropped interest, because I probably had one person pop into this. And usually when I broadcast this on Twitter, I get at least 20 people. So what's the interest like? Probably not that high out there, especially with that price dropping, where everybody thought it was going to jump with this acquisition news, with the vote being positive. So that like I'm saying, let's look at just the NASDAQ overall. NASDAQ. So the NASDAQ actually went up today. So I Googled the NASDAQ composite, and they're saying it went up about $6.93. Not in scoff. It's only 0.04%, closer to 0.05. S&P 500 dropped down to $6.74, about 0.14% today. And I don't know. Bitcoin was very volatile today. It started the day at about 41,000, dropped down. I mean, I thought I saw it drop down to less than 40, but this doesn't seem to be saying that. So yeah, I don't know. It was a little frustrating to me because I thought the prices dropped down, so I put, some more money into some crypto, and what do you know? Price dropped even lower. But that's what happens. Should be buying when these prices are dropping. But happened to be a bad choice over the weekend. But hopefully in the long term it'll pay off. Don't really have much else that I want to talk about. No, looks like so there was a positive article about 8 hours ago published by Investor Place talking about you may want to give SNDL a second chance here, even though there's this overwhelming bearish sentiment. There is an increased chance of marijuana getting descheduled or having some kind of legalization on a federal level in the U.S., which would be very helpful. Of course, we were all expecting that last year, and we all got very disappointed. There's going to be a renewed effort this spring, according to the Democrats. A few of the states, like Texas, they're pushing for their own legalization. Virginia has been talking about their own legalization. Even the Republicans that were all against it before, the first time something passed in Virginia, it was, when the Democrats had their little short-lived majority, and they got it through. But now the Republicans are saying, "Oh, the Democrats did it wrong, and we need to fix it." The Republicans are saying. So, but that's not potentially bad news. I mean, we may not like what they're going to do, but at least they're doing something, and there's going to be some kind of marijuana movement. But a lot of people are praising this liquor retailer Alcanna acquisition attempt or process proposal that got approved, along with the Nova Cannabis that comes with it. This article actually did talk about Sunstream Bancorp, which is pretty good. They're saying that there's a targeted 13% annualized return. They said that they've put about 489 million Canadian dollars, around 386.6 million into debt investments, and plans to put more of its cash to work, up to 571 million Canadian or 451 million US. So more news about that could be really positive. They're saying that there's a portfolio grader rating of B, which says is still a speculative play. So this just may be a long-term thing. Like I was thinking for a few months now. We may just have to wait till there's some federal government, U.S. federal government move to legalization before we actually uh, start to make some profits with Sundial, which is a little bit concerning with their delisting potentially coming up. Um, in February. Again, despite all of this, I am still estimating that we will naturally get to that dollar, or even if it's not naturally and it's just through their buyback program. Um, I think they'll push it to $1 so that they won't get delisted. Uh, but who knows? I think the CEO did announce that they're not going to do a reverse split. They're not into that at all. So there might be an issue if it doesn't meet that dollar. But the bright news is that, like I said, this may be a longer term play. And what does that mean about this delisting and all that? Well, there's been so many other companies that weren't able to do it, and they applied for extensions, and they got them. So just because there's this deadline looming, if we don't get there, there's the potential of an extension being granted, and it doesn't seem like that's very hard or very difficult to get, based on a review of others that got the extension. Look at that real quick before we end the video. Extension. So generally, they're saying that if the company does not meet a minimum bid requirement during the additional 180-day extension, NASDAQ will notify them that the ordinary shares will be subject to delisting. And then there's still an appeals process after that. So that's interesting. So there's a potential for another about 6 month uh, extension. So if we look at other companies that have gotten extensions, it looks like it was a Boulder-based Brickle Biotech that got a temporary delisting reprieve from NASDAQ, giving them that 180-day extension. There's also, and this was about 3 weeks ago that was reported, there's also the Alberton Acquisition Corporation that received the NASDAQ extension. This was reported about 5 days ago, where the extension was based on their wanting to complete a merger with SolarMax Technology, which we're in the process of, an acquisition. So that could be a potential excuse to get that extension. We got Triterra's issues an update on NASDAQ delisting, saying that they got a 15-day extension. This is much shorter, but still, that's an extension. They are talking about Wilkes Brothers LLC, that is also in the middle of some type of merger. So they get an extension to offer to acquire another company called Dawson Geophysical Company. So looks like a lot of these companies. Let's see if there's companies where there was a denial. So I'm searching for denial, and I'm not seeing anything pop up. So that's interesting. You would think that it would have popped up in the first first page of articles. They did have one article pop up about the Rave restaurant group that faces second NASDAQ delisting warning in 6 months. So they're saying that they're going to diligently pursue an appeal. But yeah, this is a company that got the extension and then they weren't able to pull it off within the time frame. So they have to go through that appeals process. So that just tells me, this could be just a potentially slow move, and we're just waiting and waiting for some kind of movement in the federal government, which that all seems scary. But hey, get an extension. Maybe this just prolongs what's going on. I'm just hoping that if I want it to go above 70 cents so I could at least sit in profit, and if I feel like bailing, I can bail and still make some money. Though I don't know if I'm ever going to bail until there is some kind of federal legalization, because I am pretty confident that there's going to be some movement. Again, I always say, this is 2022. 2022 adds up to 4, or 2 plus 2. And add that 20 in there, and you got 420. So this is the year of 420 to me. And I'm sticking to that math. It's all in the numbers. Read the Fibonacci code. No. Who knows? Let's see if there's anything new on marijuana legalization out there. So just the top headlines here, real quick. We'll go through this. So yeah. So this is something that I've been talking about, right? Congress has been, not getting very good public opinion because they can't work together. So what the hell is going on? So Newsweek is reporting, their headline is legalizing marijuana would be a rare bipartisan win for Congress. So what's the holdup? Well, who knows? Why? I think it's just because Republicans want to just block everything and frustrate everything. But we do have midterm elections coming up, so maybe that'll be a way to get something done in Congress, and we're very hopeful about it. They're talking about how Republicans arguably fall more on the progressive side of the marijuana issue than Biden, which is very unfortunate. But I mean, that could also be positive, because if they want to, spite Biden, who is against marijuana descheduling and all that, maybe they can form a coalition with Democrats to get that done. Then it's a win-win for the Republicans. They get to, crap all over Biden and, yell out some "Let's go Brandons" and all that, and get marijuana legalized despite him. And I don't think if that bill hits his desk, he'll not sign it. I just don't see them, doing that. MJBizDaily.com, they're reporting that there's still several states in play to legalize marijuana this year through legislation, and they're talking about Maryland that are expected to look at an adult use legalization initiative and get that to voters. Um, Medical marijuana legalization is also expected in Mississippi, uh, even though the state's high court there, or the Mississippi High Court, uh, shut down a voter-approved referendum last year. Um, Looks like North and South Carolina have a solid chance of legalizing. So says the experts that are sourced in this article by Jeff Smith and MJ Biz Daily. Um, he's saying that there's a few factors that are in play. Support has roughly doubled in the past decade. There's badly needed tax revenue. There's plenty of time to see that the sky hasn't fallen with legalization, meaning it's been legalized in a bunch of states, and all these doomsayers out there saying, oh, people are going to be getting high and driving. I'm sorry to surprise you, but many people have been high and driving for a very long time. That's why there's been so many people arrested for marijuana in their car. It's been used as a way to search cars. I mean, even if there was no marijuana smell, and all a cop has to say is, oh, we smell marijuana, we're going to search. We have probable cause now, which is being shut down by a lot of states, by the way. And the most recent was in Philadelphia, where they reversed the case where there was a gun found, and the passenger of a car had a medical marijuana license, and they used this, BS excuse of I smell marijuana to search the car, or to establish probable cause. He also mentions Delaware, which has 2 House committees approved a House bill before the session adjourned last year. So that's interesting. New Jersey is expected to launch their recreational marijuana market later this year. I think so is New York. They're saying Hawaii, their Senate passed a legalization bill in a 20-5 vote in 2021, and it'll be taken up in the House after stalling there last year. So Hawaii may be up there. Maryland, as we discussed earlier, they got bills that were proposed in both houses, but the state House Speaker says that she intends to push for a bill that would refer the issues to voters. But go ahead. The voters are all on this. They're all for this, as far as I know, in the majority. So I see that as a positive step. They're saying Minnesota, the House of Representatives there, where the Democrats hold a majority, passed a recreational marijuana legalization bill in May of 2021 by a margin of 72 to 61. But the companion bill in the Republican-led Senate died. Not so positive for Minnesota. It's cold up there. Smoking marijuana might help. They're talking about New Hampshire, where the Republican-controlled House of Representatives last week narrowly rejected a recreational marijuana bill, but 6 other bills remain in play, including some that would refer the issue to voters this fall. So that could be some positive news if one of those gets passed. And we're talking about a Republican-controlled House, and they by the skin of their teeth block that bill. So Ohio, there's a campaign to legalize adult use sales. They got enough signatures, it looks like. So they need, somebody in the lawmakers to kind of adopt that measure. But the Republicans introduced a more restrictive adult measure last year, or adult use measure. So, that could be something that's positive if it has the Republican support over there. Pennsylvania, they have a Democratic governor, Tom Wolf, who's urged lawmakers to legalize recreational marijuana, especially now that New Jersey has. So there's a bill that was introduced last year, but they have, a Republican-led Senate over there, and they have been proving to be an obstacle. So we're hoping the Republicans, get a little bit more of an open mind over there and see, tax revenue and the boon to entrepreneurship and business owners would be something that is actually in line with their Republican ideals. So why are you voting against it? Of course, it's, this scary history of how does marijuana affect your mental health? How does being a U.S. citizen affect your mental health? I'm betting that has a larger impact than marijuana does. I mean, other than possibly that marijuana has a positive impact. Next, we can talk about some of the other states. Kansas, they just passed Medical Marijuana Act, but that didn't get a vote yet in the Senate. So they're looking at that, but he's speculating that there's a good chance of that passing this year. Mississippi, state legislative negotiators last year agreed on a more restrictive marijuana measure after the Supreme Court voided a business-friendly voter-approved measure. I'm not getting why these courts, that's why it's so dangerous to load these courts with conservative judges that aren't really, I'm just speaking out of my behind here, so who knows? I don't see why the legal system doesn't see marijuana criminalization as a violation of the Constitution. Like, you're just interfering with people's medical rights at minimum. It's just undisputed that marijuana has medical usages, and this is something that dates back more than 100 years. So it just frustrates me. It's just people grew up during this reefer madness period, and they're still on the bench. Maybe the counterculture investigations. I remember I was went to observe a trial in the Southern District of New York. It was one of those police excessive use of force things where they shot a mentally ill citizen in the Bronx, and so they got sued. But it turned out that this guy healed pretty well and was doing well, and there wasn't really much sympathy for him, so I ended up losing that case. But I remember I was talking with the lawyer that led the trial, and he was telling me that the FBI at one point when he was a kid started following him because he had long hair. So it was the whole, just we could explain the history of counterculture investigations and things like that. It's just crazy to me. But hey, That's what happens. But that was definitely an interesting article, so I'd recommend checking that out. Um, what else we got going on? You're saying a top federal intelligence official loosens marijuana restrictions for workers and addresses cannabis stocks. This is a Marijuana Moment, and an article by Kyle Yeager from about 2 hours ago today. And they're saying, there's a lot of states moving to legalize marijuana, so the Director of National Intelligence says federal employers shouldn't outright reject security clearance applicants over past use and should use discretion when it comes to those with cannabis investments in their stock portfolios. So I think that's just very interesting. Like, to get a security clearance and things like that, or work certain jobs, you basically had to lie. Say you never, touch marijuana. You're not, you never used it, or if you did, it was just one time occasional thing. Which is BS for most people. Most people use it more than that. Of course, there's I love the quote from, what is it, Bill Clinton. Yeah, I tried it a little bit, but I never inhaled. I didn't like it. How do you know you didn't like it if you didn't inhale? I wonder. Ridiculousness. But yeah, and so there's definitely a lot of notices been going out there. So the Department of Defense said CBD is off limits. The Air Force issued a notice in 2019 saying members are prohibited from using. Navy, same thing. Coast Guard, same thing. NASA, same thing. They're saying that CBD products could contain unauthorized THC concentrations that would jeopardize your job if you fail a drug test. The Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration issued a guidance to federal agency drug program coordinators in 2019, expressing concern about excess THC in CBD products. Department of Transportation took a different approach in 2020, stating in a notice that it would not be testing drivers for CBD. The DEA continues to enforce its policy of automatically disqualifying applicants who used marijuana in the prior 3 years before applying. Come on, like, are you serious? Like, what's the difference between I used it 2 years ago and I used it 4 years ago? Ridiculous. Some of these just policies, it just makes no sense. There's news about the German government talking about their marijuana legalization plans, but of course, with COVID and everything like that, it could be sitting on a back burner. But yeah, I think I mentioned Texas earlier, but it was, I think, Austin in Texas. So there was a governor candidate that was saying that they're going to be pushing for some kind of marijuana decriminalization, but Austin, which is a city in Texas, is certified local marijuana decriminalization initiative for the May ballot. NBC, what is this, On Your Side, News 12. The Cannabis Oversight Commission to review legalization of retail recreational sales. And this is an article posted today at about 9:30 a.m. by Joy Bass, and reporting out of Richmond, Virginia. saying, oh, this is about Virginia and their Cannabis Oversight Commission, saying that they're going to review recommendations for legalization. It's an interesting update. We talked about Virginia and their problems, but Newsweek also published an article today at about 5:30 p.m. talking about Maryland lawmakers debating on whether to legalize recreational marijuana or put it on a ballot. So yeah, there's a lot of good news out there about potentially legalizing marijuana throughout the states. So who knows? Maybe that does. We could get some. Again, we just need Congress to do something, like the federal government to do something, and they can. They have the power to do it. They have the manpower. It's just more about the Democrats saying, if we do this now, we're not going to get, all the things we want, and the Republicans saying, we're not going to give you what you want, and you're not going to get it. I mean, come on, Democrats, just form a coalition. Get some of these conservative Democrats to just work with the Republicans, get something passed, fight Biden, use whatever excuse you have to. And get it done, people. Get it done. Come on. It's been enough time. We got people languishing in jail over non-violent, marijuana sales. Ridiculous. But I will end my hour and a half rant here and tell you again, not your legal advisor, not a financial advisor. I've been wrong on a lot of my predictions, so who knows, what the future holds. I'm still hopeful that Sundial's going to do well. Actually, I would hope that the Sundial price does stay below 60 cents, just so that I can muster some more money up and invest in it. So that's my goal. Do your due diligence, do your research, hire a professional, talk to them, figure out if this is something that's right for you, because these are big decisions. We all want to make money, but what are you going to do? This is just something that I've honed in on because it's a potential for people with not that much money to invest to put money in and potentially, double to 10x their money, depending on, whether this legalization stuff happens. So I'm positive on it. I hope you are too. And people, get more excited about this. Like, publish your own videos. Talk about it on Twitter. Talk about it on Facebook. Whatever social media platform that you use. Get the word out, because people need to hear about this. People need to know that they could potentially flip their money and make something out of this. And, maybe, that could help boost that price too. More people doing their own research, doing their own due diligence could potentially help boost this price and skew some of the statistics. I mean, I think we need another meme stock movement here. Like, where are you, guy? Wall Street Bets, come on, bring this back, or somebody with the with the wherewithal and the following, because nobody's following me. Nobody's paying attention to these videos. I'm just doing this for my own personal sanity here. But that's it. I'll end them on that note. Again, trust no one. Get this research done on your own. Figure it out. All right, people. Good night.